My beautiful wife. It's not easy being married to me, much less being married to me and going through a campaign like this. So she's a real strength to me, and also my excuse me, my kids.
Come on, Jared. It's good. Happy birthday to you.
Very good. It's birthday today, and he's been all day knocking on doors.
Wow.
And then spend their spring break as well. I apologize.
It was hard.
You're human.
They spent the past 6 days knocking on doors and putting out signs, and it means a lot to me. Oh man, didn't anticipate this emotional. My mom's also here too.
Hey, Mom.
It's a family ordeal here. But I just owe a great debt to them and to all of you as well. A little bit about myself. I never imagined in a million years I would be here running for public office. My whole passion has been business my entire life. When I was 8 years old, I got my first job with my older sister. She taught swimming lessons in our backyard, and I worked the entire summer, earned a couple $100. And my dad was a very smart man, very wise man. And then he brought me to the side and he said, "Michael, what are you going to do with all this money you're making?" I was like, "Well, you know, Dad, I had some G.I. Joes, some Transformers, some of these things I wanted to buy." And he talked to me about investing. He opened up the Wall Street Journal and kind of went through some stuff and started talking about stocks and all this kind of things. And he said, "Michael, you can spend your money on whatever you want to, but I'll tell you what, if you invest your money, I will match it dollar for dollar." So at the age of 8, I got introduced to my first 401k, and I bought publicly traded stock. It just so happened to be the company that my dad worked for as well. So,
Imagine that.
well, at the age of 8, I don't know. But 2 years later, at the ripe old age of 10, I decided I was old enough and mature enough to start my own business. Plus, my sister was a slave driver. I didn't want to work for her anymore. So I went down to the local Costco at the time, bought a bunch of candies and Cokes, put them in my bookshelf, loaded my backpack, went around the neighborhood, started selling those to the neighborhood kids, expanded my market. I hopped on the bus and started selling on the bus. Well, the school found out about it. They had their own little candy store sales, and they shut me down.
Covered.
Yeah, exactly. To the age of 10, I got my first introduction to government regulations. Unfortunately, that wasn't the last time that the government's interfered with my ability to raise money and provide for my family. I don't know how many of you guys know, but Sport Clips Haircuts, it's basically ESPN meets the barbershop. I owned about 18 of those, and I sold it this past May. And a large reason for the sale was Obamacare. I had 160 employees, and I just couldn't make the math work. So fortunately, I was able to find a guy that was willing to buy all 18 of them. And as my wife and I were trying to figure out what else to do next, we looked around and we saw government in places that didn't belong, like our back pockets. And we also saw some industries that we wanted to get into. And it wasn't competition that was the biggest barrier to entry. It wasn't capital investment or expertise, knowledge expertise. It was, again, government regulations that were keeping people out. That's when I kind of said enough is enough. We got to do something about this. So I got off the sidelines and jumped into this head first. And some of the things that I'm hoping to do, one is bring back states' rights. A lot of the problems that we have is our federal government is out of control and is doing whatever they feel like, pretty much whatever they want. So we've got to put our states back in control. And the way that I feel like that's got to start is through the dollar, through money. I don't know how many of you know what our state's budget is, but you hear all the time about it being about $22 billion. That's how much the state of Georgia brings in tax collections. Anybody knows how much money we spend? Exactly. It's close to $42 billion. Where's that other $20 billion come from? From the federal government. Exactly. So every year, our states are going to the federal government asking for more money, and that's how we're losing our state sovereignty. So we need to do more to control that, to control our spending, make sure that we're doing everything we can to get the value for our dollars back. Also, ethics. Ethic reform is a big platform that I have. I'm a CPA by trade, so I'm used to accounting and auditing and all that kind of good stuff. So I had my first financial disclosures due December 31st of this past year. So I'm sitting at my desk, I've got my bank statements, my invoices, my receipts, everything ready to submit. I call up my consultant, I'm like, "Okay, what do I need to send you?" Just send me your Excel spreadsheet. Excuse me? All you need is my Excel spreadsheet. Well, how do you know this is right? Well, we trust you. I don't know, but that's not good enough for me. One thing that I want to do is make it so that all elected officials and candidates submit their bank statements along with their financial disclosures. It's really simple. It's not very costly. It can be done relatively easy. So just that one thing go a long way to getting ethics reform. Also, tax reform. Anybody here like our tax structure? I think it's kind of antiquated.
Tax.
Exactly. That's one thing that I believe wholeheartedly is we need to change the way that we collect tax.
Get rid of the IRS.
Amen on that. We got to report on that. Get rid of the IRS. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, they all have no income tax or a version of no income tax. The state of Georgia has one of the highest state income taxes in the Southeast at 6.
Well, let's move out.
Well, that is exactly what's going on. Businesses are not moving here because of that. And if we can get our flat tax, eliminate our state income tax, we'd have a lot more businesses come in the state of Georgia.
But if I may interject,
Sure.
the,
Sure house.
the,
Do whatever you want.
you're very kind. But the problem is that the state is always willing to deal with big corporations,
Yes.
but they're not willing to deal with the small business guy that is going to start and give him tax break. It doesn't happen.
I agree.
It doesn't.
I agree 100%.
You know, you have Mitsubishi, you have Toyota, you have Honda. They move here, they get all the tax break they want, but the little business person
Exactly.
doesn't get
It's
the
the
tax
little
break.
guys that suffer. I'm with you 100%. My entire family are entrepreneurs. My mom had her own business, my brothers, my sisters, aunts, cousins, uncles, they all own their own business. And if you hear any politician or elected official tell you that government creates jobs, they're lying to you. It's small businesses and workers that create jobs.
We all know
So, also kind of here locally, some things that I'd like to change is one, I feel like the city of Cumming of about 4,000 or 5,000 people is controlling a county of about 200,000 people. And we've got to do more to make sure that we are represented fairly within our county. The way our county commissioners are elected is one thing that we can change and address. Having our own water are a couple other things. So that's just a little bit about myself. I don't want to bore you guys too much. Any questions that you have? That I can
Term
answer?
limits.
Most definitely. I believe 100% in term limits.
2 terms.
I don't know
First
about...
term in office, second term in prison.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I definitely agree with term limits.